All right, everybody, welcome back to the second episode of the Lot B and Bullshit podcast. I'm your host, White Sox Matt. You could follow me on Twitter at WSXMatt. I'm joined by a very special guest, White Sox E-Man. You could follow him on Twitter at WSXEMAN. And we just got off a 3-game sweep of the Tigers. I mean, how great did that feel, Emmanuel?
Oh, it felt refreshing, man. Honestly, I think we were due. It's the second series sweep, and I think there's a lot more to come from that.
Hell yeah, I agree, man. I think we needed that a lot, especially after losing 3 out of 4 in Detroit a couple weeks ago. I think we needed that sweep big time. Now, it wasn't the most pretty thing. I think we scored 11 runs in 28 innings. So not great, right? I mean, we had Clevenger throw really well. Now his peripherals and everything don't look great this year. He struggled at times, but that was a big start from him. If we can get that kind of start on a semi-consistent basis, I think the rotation could look pretty good. Obviously, Lance Lynn, I don't know where he fits into this rotation this year because he's just been awful. He's not throwing as many strikes, and when he does, they're fucking like 90-mile-an-hour cutters right over the middle of the plate, and guys are just hitting him out of the ballpark. So that he's struggled a lot, but I think that we just have to roll with him because you look at the minors, it's like the only dude we had ready was Davis Martin, and he's out for the year with Tommy John surgery. So there's really no hope of that, of him coming back, obviously. So we kind of have to rock with Lance Lynn for the moment and just kind of make it through the struggles.
Yeah. I mean, we had Schultens for a while. That one game he stepped up for Clevenger. He was pretty solid. You could always, use him if you need.
Yeah, they sent him back to Charlotte, right?
They did.
Yeah, I mean, he's not dazzling with his stuff, but he can give you innings. I feel like we do need a fifth starter though, because whenever Lance Lynn goes out there, I'm just like, we're gonna lose this game because he's just terrible. So let's just go over Clevenger's line for that Friday game. So we won 3-0, 5 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, no earned runs, 3 hits. You can't ask for much more than your fourth or fifth starter,
No, yeah, and he definitely put us in a position to win.
Absolutely. And the bullpen came in and they did their job. I mean, we've seen them. They've improved a lot. I mean, I remember the Sox bullpen was basically just a meme to start the year. They came in, any lead we had, they'd fucking blow it. And now they've been solid as fuck. Keenan Middleton's hasn't allowed a run since April. All of May shutout, and
Right.
the last few outings shutout. And he's been huge for this team. And Gregory Santos, even though he had some struggles as of late, a little bit, he's still really fucking solid for this team. And Aaron Bummer's been okay. Joe Kelly, he's been great except for that one outing against Detroit in Detroit. So what are your thoughts on the bullpen? Do you think that they're going to stay on this path, or do you see any issues going forward?
Honestly, I mean, I like everyone there. I feel like you just gotta, you gotta put them in a position where they're comfortable. I feel like too many times, Pedro was putting, guys like Aaron Bummer in uncomfortable situations where you're having having them in a high leverage situation where bases are loaded, and you're asking for a ground ball. But I mean, that's just a tough situation to go into. I feeling like you got Hendricks coming back. That's a huge addition to the pen. Guys like Garrett Crochet, who you can throw in the 7th or 8th inning. You know, Graveman has been nails.
Right.
And I feel like this is Jerry spent a lot of money on the bullpen, and if we're getting great production out of them, that's ideally what we want.
Right, right. And it was a sort of thing, the Super Bowl pen, as we referred to it on Twitter. We dumped all this money, but as you can see, like I said last podcast, Keenan Middleton, I think he's getting the vet minimum this year. We took him off the scrap heap from Arizona. He had like a 5 ERA. He hadn't really had a good year since 2017 when he was a rookie with the Angels. And I don't even think the fucking Sox Twitter account announced the signing when it happened. It was so insignificant at the time. But he's been our most dependable guy out of whenever we have a lead, he's coming in. And you got the Keenan to Santos to Graveman set up, and then you finish him off with Liam Hendricks. I think that's a recipe for success for this team. As long as you could get that early lead, as long as we get some good innings out of our starters, that's huge. But Dylan Cease the other day had 5.1 innings of shutout ball. And this is a guy that struggled this whole year. Last year, second in Cy Young finishing, in Cy Young voting, behind Verlander. And this year, he's come up short pretty much all the time. Like last year, every time he started, you thought, man, this guy's going to give us 6 innings of shutout, maybe 1 earned run ball. And this year, it just hasn't been the case. But the other day, 5.1 innings, 6 strikeouts, and I believe 2 or 3 hits for the day. So that was huge for him. And he always kills the Tigers. That's the thing that we know, that the Dylan Cease killing the Tigers, death taxes and Dylan Cease killing the Tigers. It's just a certainty.
Society when Dylan Cease pitches against the Tigers. I mean, it's
right.
that you've come to know that meme. Did he factor into that decision? I don't know. He was 10-2 coming into that game.
Yes. So he had 6. So the only issue is his pitch count was a little rough. You'd like him to go more than 5 innings with the first out in the 6th. He had 99 pitches, and you'd like him to go ideally you'd like him to go 6. But I think you can't fucking complain about 5 1/3 with 1 earned run. You can't complain about that. Now he's regressed a ton. You look at his Savant page, and last year, I mean, it looks like prime Jacob deGrom, and you look at it this year, and it looks like I don't know, Adam Oler's Savant page. It's bad.
Yeah, dude. Last year he had it was like a whole lot of red, like Cardi, man. Everything was red.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at his page right now. This year, 13th percentile average exit velocity. Okay, so that means 87% of pitchers have a better average exit velocity. He's getting hard hit, and he's getting hit hard. And that also factors in where he has a 6th percentile hard hit percentage. 94% of guys are allowing softer contact than him. And the only areas where he's above the 50th percentile are his curveball spin, his K percentage, fastball velocity. His fastball spins at 94th percentile, which is very good. And his whiff percentage is 57%. Otherwise, expected batting average is a 40th percentile. That's not that great. Expected ERA and expected OBA. His OBA is terrible, and he needs to figure it out. But I think that start could kind of get the ball moving to where he needs to be. And one of the concerns is, could the pitch clock be rushing guys? I don't know, because we're not in the clubhouse, but I feel like the pitch clock, guys are used to this rhythm where, they go at their own pace. And you look at Alek Manoah today, he didn't even get out of the first inning. He had 6 earned runs in the first inning, and he gets bounced out. And this is a dude who's third in Cy Young voting last year. So a lot of guys, and Verlander was the Cy Young winner last year, and he's not very good with the Mets right now. So I kind of wonder, is this pitch clock actually affecting these elite pitchers? I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. I don't know if it's the approach, it's the gather. I don't know. There's definitely something there where it throws the rhythm off. I mean, you look at a guy like Lance Lynn, right? The guy we traded for 2021. What was he? He was like what, second or third in the Cy Young? And I mean, you look at now, and it's just like it's a huge regression. I don't know, man. I feel like it's like almost like these bigger pitchers, if you will.
Yep.
They're really struggling out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a trend we're seeing. So, we're 2 months into the season, like 30% of the way there. I think 60 games have been played, 60 something. So we're we're a little over a third of the way there. Let's move on to something that's interesting. My guy Sox Nick posted the stats today for Burger versus Moncada. And before the season, odd year Moncada, we've seen like every 2021, 2019, he's elite, and he's putting up 5 WAR seasons.
And he made the all team in the World Baseball Classic. So I mean, you look at the guy coming in, man, and it looked really promising.
Exactly. Yeah, he was a killer in the WBC,
Yeah.
But the issue was he was playing against like the China team and these teams with guys that, are like pediatricians and stuff. And then you're facing major league pitchers, and there's a huge difference. So, we'll see. The jury's still out on him, but I just want to go over some numbers here. So Moncada in 2023, he has 110 ABs, 27 hits, 2 homers, 12 RBIs, 31 strikeouts, and a 245 batting average with an 88 OPS plus and a 90 WRC plus, and only a 0.2 WAR. And if you look at his defensive WAR, it's a 0.0. And Jake Burger has a negative 0.4 defensive WAR. Is Moncada's job in jeopardy? Because he's not, his defense isn't phenomenal this year, as the metrics say, and it's marginally better than Jake Burger's defense. Jake Burger needs to be starting in the lineup every single day because the power he brings, let's just look at his numbers. 132 ABs, 35 hits, 12 homers, 29 RBIs, 44 strikeouts, which is a problem. That's pretty much the only category that Moncada has Burger beat in. 265 batting average, a 147 OPS plus, 148 WRC plus, 0.9 WAR, and a negative 0.4 defensive WAR. So the only 2 categories that Yoan Moncada has beat Jake Burger in are his defense, which is marginally better, and the strikeouts, which, he has 22 less at bats than Burger. So, it's a little bit better. But in pretty much every category, Jake Burger is a better baseball player. And you can't, like, Moncada has been so underwhelming this year. And we're getting to the point where, dude, you're getting paid all this money to be what? Maybe a defensive replacement? But even again, he's not like crazy great on defense. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, should we move Moncada to second? Is that a possibility? Because Jake Burger needs to play every day.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at his contract right now. His base salary is at 17 million. Okay, so you still have him under control until 2025 when he's due for a club option, and I mean you're getting hit there 25 million. Uh, you know, and going back to your, Jake Berger remark, I mean, the guy is mashing, he's mashing, right? I mean, ever since he got called up from AAA last year, the guy has just found a way to be in the lineup. And I agree with you. He should be 100% every day in the lineup. I don't know if you're putting him at DH or you're putting him at third base. Um, but I feel like the guy deserves, you know, those plate appearances, and you could arguably make the an argument that I mean, he could almost be an all-star this year, man. He's putting up numbers. As far as Moncada goes, I don't see him going to second base. I feel like you're going to have to stick with him every day at third base because his defensive metrics, I mean, they're just there. So, it's a tough situation there. But I feel like you have to have Berger at bats as much as possible.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of time for Moncada to figure it out. But right now, he hasn't earned that spot over Berger. Like Berger's earned the right to play every day, and I just get pissed off whenever Pedro starts, Moncada over him. It's like you're leaving your second best hitter on the bench because Luis is the best in my opinion, but close second is Berger, and you're gonna leave your second best hitter on the bench because a guy has marginally better defense. And I'm a huge Moncada fan. Coming into the year, you could look at my tweets, but I was bullish on him. I was like, this guy's going to fucking kill it this year. And he hasn't. And Berger is miles better than him. And I don't give a fuck if you're paying him $100 million. You put the better player in the lineup every day. And the guy that's going to give you a better chance to win, because Moncada's not giving you a better chance to win than Jake Berger is. The last part I want to touch on for that Tigers series, and we'll move on to the Yankees series. So on Sunday, we faced off against Matt Boyd. Okay. The guy has a 6 ERA. He's a lefty. Back in 2020, 2021, 2020, we're undefeated against left-handed pitching.
Yep.
This left-handed pitcher with a 6 ERA. We have all these right-handed hitters that should be fucking killing this guy. He had 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, and 1 earned run. We should have gotten at least 3 or 4 runs off of him at least. This team's too talented to basically get shut down by this fucking guy. And I don't know. It's kind of concerning because if you're getting shut down by this, even though we won the game, you get shut down by this guy essentially. And that I was concerned after the game. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through the box score here. So the Sox had, we had 6 runs, we had 9 hits. We only scored, 1 run in the 4th, 1 run in the 6th. All of our runs practically came in the 9th inning, and that was that Jake Berger grand slam walk-off. I agree, man. If you're going up against a lefty pitcher, you got all these righty bats in your lineup, they should be mashing him, man. And it's just tough because you have all these righties, and you should just be able to counter attack that lefty on that mound.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the fact that he's it's not like you're facing some stud left-hander. You're facing a guy who's their 8th starter because all their starters are on the IL right now. So he was basically their worst pitcher, and he nearly beat us. So the next thing I want to get to is I want to preview this Yankees series. So I looked at ESPN, and the pitchers that we're facing are Clark Schmidt tomorrow. Apparently Wednesday, they're undecided on ESPN, and Severino on Thursday. So Clark Schmidt has a 5 ERA. I think he's a righty. in terms of Tim Anderson, like, we're beating a dead horse at this point, but the guy hasn't homered this year. His last homer was in July in Minnesota, and the homer before that was the Josh Donaldson,
The Coke, man. Yeah.
homer.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you look, he's had injury issues over the last 2 years. His last full season was 2021. 14 of his 16 home runs were to right field. And you look at the Yankee Stadium, that short porch in right field, could be looking at a home run. If he hits the ball in the air, out to right field, that could be very interesting. All he has to do is just sneak it over the fence there. That's a tough team. We're going to have Lance Lynn going up against Aaron Judge. Now, I'm not much of a betting man anymore, but if I were, Aaron Judge is hitting a homer off Lance Lynn. Like,
he leads the league in OPS. I mean, that's a tough guy to just strike out,
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he didn't hit a homer off Lance Lynn, because I believe he's going to be starting. Is he starting tomorrow or Wednesday? He's starting one of these games, but that's going to be a matchup where Aaron Judge is going to hit a homer. I'll 100% guarantee he's hitting a homer off Lance Lynn because the guy throws 90-mile-an-hour cutters over the middle of the fucking plate.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So picks to click. I was just talking about Tim Anderson. Who is your pick to click for the series?
Funny you mentioned it because that's the exact guy who I was going to go with, TA7. I'm looking at his career stats up here. The guy's got a 252 batting average, 36 hits, 7 homers, 24 RBIs, 18 runs, and that's in 33 games he's played against the Yankees. I feel like you're right. That right porch over there at Yankee Stadium, it's gonna be his first home run, and I think he's due.
You're locking that in?
I think that's the pick to click. You got to lock in, man.
Hell yeah, I agree. If I were to go with any other guy, I think you're looking at Jake Burger, man. He's so hot. I mean, for the walk-off the other day, or yesterday, all he needed was to hit the ball out of the infield. They had 6 guys. Their right fielder shifted into second base.
Yeah, they had 5 infielders.
Right. All he had to do was hit the ball in the air. The game's over, and the guy blasts a homer to left center. He's invaluable to this team. Pedro Grifol needs to start that guy. I'm gonna say that a million times, but if he's not starting, I'm pissed because there's hardly anyone else. The only other guy that could hit it like he does is Luis. So yeah, we got Clark Schmidt starting. The undecided is really weird. We'll figure out who does that.
My only concern with Burger, just going back to is that your pick to click, by the way, Jake Burger?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. My only concern, right? I mean, how he plays at home, right? Don't get me wrong. The dude is elite. He plays great at home. My only concern with Burger is his road splits. And I'm looking it up here, man. He's batting 148. He's got 8 hits. He's only got 1 home run on the road. Something to consider, right? 3 RBIs, 6 runs. And, you just look at the road splits, man, and you look at his home splits, and it's just it's like night and day, man. It's just complete opposites. That's my only concern. And, I don't know what you have to say about that, but that's just my concern with how he plays on the road.
Yeah, no, I talked about it last week. That's definitely been an issue for him, is hitting on the road. He just sort of disappears on the road. I think in his career, he has a 10 WRC plus with 100 being average on the road. That's a huge issue. But I feel like at some point he's got to break out of that and just mash on the road. And I think it's going to be this Yankee series. I really do. I think that at some point he has to figure it out on the road. And why not this series? that he has to figure out at some point, because a 148 average on the road isn't. He's going to do better than that. So that's my pick to click for that series. Aaron Judge is going to kill us. I just see it
Stanton's
coming.
another guy, man. Giancarlo Stanton is another guy that that on that Yankees lineup who just smashes us every time.
Yeah. He hit me, man, with that.
Oh, I
fucking
know.
foul.
Chris, if you're seeing this, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he hit me in the ass with a foul ball. That was rough.
Stantonian blast to the ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at my FanDuel, and we're in like the right field with Emmanuel and Chris, and
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton smokes a ball, a foul ball, and I hear people, oh, watch out. And I'm on my phone. I'm like, what the hell? And I get over, and the ball just strikes me right in the ass cheek, and I had like a welt for like a week, man.
Damn.
Yeah, that was fucked. And he hits the hardest. He's one of the hardest hitters in the league. So it wasn't like, Hanser Alberto hit one off my ass. It was Giancarlo Stanton, man. That ball that hurt like a motherfucker, man. That was terrible. Let's see. What else do we want to get to? Oh yeah, I guess if we're just gonna go back over looking at the AL Central right now, okay, the Sox are 5.5 games back out of first place, and there's what we've played 41, 20, so there's pretty much 100 games left in the season, and we're 5.5 back. The Tigers just lost today, so we're only a game and a half out of third from the Tigers, and we're only 2 games out of second place. So it's very manageable, but we got to handle business in New York. We really do. This is a shit or get off the pot series where these guys have to show up. We just swept the Tigers, but you're not going to hold that Yankees lineup to 1 or 2 runs or shut them out every game. That's not going to happen. So the offense has to show up there. And that's the bottom line. We're not going to beat the Yankees with 3 runs. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
they're gonna put up some runs, but we have to come out of the gate mashing, and we have to take advantage of that short porch. And I don't know who's starting Wednesday. Like I said, undecided. I'm not too familiar with the rotation, but Clark Schmidt, tomorrow he has a 5 ERA, so he's not that great. And I forget who's starting tomorrow. I think Lance Lynn is starting tomorrow.
Let me check. Here.
So that could be yeah, let me double check that. Yeah, Lance Lynn starting tomorrow. No, Wednesday.
No, we got Gio starting tomorrow.
Gio starting tomorrow. Who's been starting pitcher 2 for this team? Because Kopech's been the best. Yep. If I were to rank the rotation, I'd go Kopech, Gio, Clevinger. Who's the 4th? Cease and Lynn.
Yeah,
that would be my 5. Lance Lynn needs to hang it up though, but that's a I said it last week and I said it this week. First place is within reach. We had to get that sweep against the Tigers. That's the kind of shit you need to do as a winning ball club, is you need to beat up on these shit teams. And we know that the Tigers aren't a third place, second place team. They're not going to end the year.
They're a rebuilding team and they're in second place,
Yeah. And there's Tigers fans out there that thought, oh, we're going to win that guy that was crying in his car, man.
Yeah, man.
How pathetic. How pathetic is that, man? It's June. I don't know how delusional you are to think that he was saying, oh, we were so close to division. There's 100 games left. There's no shot. You've got like 6 pitchers on the IL. You're starting these guys from Toledo all the time. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking they're going to win the division. There's zero chance they win the division.
Just being a Detroit fan, man, just being a Detroit fan in general, they have it tough. I mean, who do they root for? They got the Lions, they got the Pistons. I mean, it's just a tough scene out there in Detroit.
They got the Lions, Red Wings, who I don't follow hockey too much.
Yeah.
The Lions, Red Wings, Tigers, and
the Pistons.
The Pistons.
You know, that's a tough.
Who got Monty Williams?
It's a tough crowd out there, man. Hey, shout out Little Caesars though. They got the headquarters out there.
They got the Detroit style pizza. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, we went to Comerica Park a couple of years ago. That's a trip I kind of want to make again, but we're not going to play them till like August. So
yeah,
we'll see. But Comerica's a nice stadium, man.
It's nice. I think they got a little bit of renovations over there, especially center field. Yeah, it's a good park to go to.
Yeah, it is. It is. I do feel like there's some issues with the Sox park. It's dated. You know, it was basically the first stadium of this generation of stadiums, and every single ballpark after it improved on our model. Obviously, I don't see us getting any new ballpark anytime soon, but you know, there's definitely some things that could be added. Yeah, I don't know. So you said TAs are pick to click. I like that a lot.
Yep.
What do you think the Sox will do over the series against the Yankees? What's your record prediction?
You know, it's going to be tough. I think Gio puts us in a good position to win. I like tomorrow. I feel like we win tomorrow. You know, I feel like we lose against, you know, I don't know who they're going to put out on Wednesday, but, you know, Lance going out there on Wednesday. I think we chalk up an L there. I feel like best case scenario, we go 2-1.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. I think you basically, unless Lance Lynn has some like crazy start, I could see 2-1. I think this team's getting hot and they're figuring it out. But if they don't start if Pedro doesn't start Jake Burger, you're basically giving up one of your best power hitters on your second best hitter on the team. So yeah. Any other thoughts?
Let's see here, man. Yeah, I agree 100%. You have to start Jake Burger. I understand, you know, you also have to give Sheets at bats. You know, so you got to, you know, it's a tough decision. You know, you got to start Burger, you got to start Sheets. But I like what you're saying here. You got to go with your pick to click. So you got to start Burger as much as you can.
Exactly. So that's going to wrap it up for the second episode of the Lot B and Bullshit podcast. Thank you for listening. And thank you to our guest, White Sox E-Man, for joining and adding his thoughts in. And we'll see you for the next episode after this Yankees series. Thanks for joining and have a good one.